on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Super happy to be with you. Ashlyn over there telling tales about driving in and the rain and traffic if you're heading south on 270 this afternoon, as it usually is. Well, because it's raining and because it's St. Louis, you're not moving. So just so you know, southbound, you are going to be stuck. So that's going to be how it all goes. So just be prepared to be stopped. And I think it's a lot of it's but it's raining. And every time it rains, people kind of get a little panicky. And I don't know. Sometimes last time we had all the snow, everybody was doing great and everything else. But we're kind of back to the St. Louis driving. Speaking of driving, looks like there is a Waymo controversy happening in Illinois, and this is a little bit different than I don't even know why Waymos necessarily are controversial as a means of, like, Ubering, because my son goes to school in Tempe, Arizona, and so they're all over the place there in Phoenix and Tempe. I happen to like the Ubers more, not because of any fear. I just don't like the idea of basically being in a car that doesn't have a driver in it. I don't care what the situation is. It's not like I'm a Luddite or anything. I just don't really like that whole idea. I like the human element of that. And Waymos also have their limitations. Like, for instance, if a traffic light is out or something, the Waymo doesn't know what to do. So you're never really going to. You're always going to kind of need the human element there if you're going to use Waymos in any kind of volume. And, that's really what the Teamsters and some of the other unions over in Illinois are worried about. They think the Waymos are going to take their jobs. But while Waymo technology might be perfected at some point, the fact of the matter is I can't imagine that Waymos are going to be actually utilized in any kind of major form. I just don't think, when it comes to deliveries and when it comes to, I don't know whether a fleet of Waymos taking care of utilities at a university or whatever the Teamsters are worried about. I just don't believe that there really is going to be, to any kind of degree, a usage of the Waymo. I just don't think it's practical. I think Waymos have too many questions about their technology and how they work and all that kind of stuff, and I just don't think there's a lot to be afraid of, and it's still a long way off. But I do like the idea of them being utilized for people who are doing ride shares and things. So I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Mark Harder's going to join us a little later, too, because around 3 o'clock this afternoon, there is going to be a lawsuit basically filed by Sam Page. It's over this England trip and who's in charge and all that other stuff. So that's how that's going to work, and I'll follow up on that. Mark will be in with us and talk to us. In the meantime, this happened over the weekend, and this is a crazy story because these people are really awful human beings, I'm sorry to say. They are the people known as the Ostrushkas. There's a daughter, Paige, and there is a dad, Chris. And I believe he's a Ukrainian immigrant from a very young age or whatever. I really don't know. But they're leftist crazies who wound up assaulting conservative journalist Savannah Hernandez. I think you guys have heard of the story. You've seen some of the videos. They were out there blowing whistles in her face, and they were cussing at her. And at one point, Chris Ostrushka decided he was going to push her to the ground. He assaulted her. And there's so much craziness involved in this story. So I'm going to start just with the latest. And the individuals, the father and the daughter, have been charged. They're from Minnesota, of course, where all the crazy people are. They have been charged for this attack. They've been legally charged with assault. And the daughter is a college soccer player. So Paige was at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point as a sophomore soccer player, and the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point has taken her off of its official women's soccer roster there on the website after she was indeed arrested for this assault. Her dad is another character altogether. Her dad, you're trying to figure out, like, how could they possibly think that they were going to get away with this? Why were they so emboldened to assault a reporter or whatever? And part of it is, like it is with a lot of people on the left, part of it is the fact that they are coddled by the news media. The news media makes them heroes. And it's not only the supposed left-wing media that makes people like Chris Ostrushka heroes, because he was videotaped a while back basically F-bombing and doing all this kind of stuff. He was videotaped a while back doing that. And so he was made a hero by MSN Now and The Bulwark. You guys know The Bulwark, right? They are the Never Trump organization. So both sides of this turn this guy into a folkloric type of hero. And in fact, here's an interview that Tim Miller did. Tim Miller is the one, the guy who wears the puka shell necklace, that guy. Yeah. So he's with the Bulwark, and he interviewed this monster a while back.
I'm Tim Miller, and I couldn't be more delighted to be here with a fella who many of us saw on video this week. It's Chris Ostrushko. He lives in the Twin Cities. He's been out at the protests, and he had some pretty hot language for the situation we found ourselves in this week.
So anyway, I'm not going to play it because, of course, it's just a bunch of it's just a bunch of cussing and everything else. But the reality is, Tim Miller basically interviewed him, lionized him, made him into some kind of hero. So by the time he got to this other protest, he was full of vim and vigor, and his daughter was just like him. His wife was too. I mean, what a family, right? And so when they attacked Savannah Hernandez, they didn't think anything of it. They thought, well, surely I can assault a reporter who the news media described as being from a right-wing network. She's from some conservative outlet. They said far right-wing is what they called it. You've never heard anybody utilize the term far left-wing, have you? Yeah, it's far right-wing. But they've been emboldened to believe that they could do whatever they want to with impunity because the news media would cover for them. It's kind of like the Eric Swalwell disease. It's kind of like what drove the two monsters up in Minnesota to behave the way they did that got them killed. So What's Her Nuts, as you know, tried to run over an ICE agent. Why didn't she even consider that was a problem? Like, why didn't she even consider that was a bad thing to do? Well, because up until that time, the news media and others and the politicians made them heroes to the point where they had so much confidence in how righteous they were, they felt like they could do anything, including run over an ICE agent. Or they could do anything, including standing there screaming at ICE agents and kicking the taillights out of the ICE agent's car. So how could you possibly figure that was a good idea? Back to Chris Ostrushka, if you look up his name on the internet, you'll see a variety of stories, including a story done by the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, in which they describe him as a suburban dad. I mean, and this guy, look him up. You could see what's going on. This guy, the news media does this all the time. They do that to rapey, murdery, illegal aliens. They call them Virginia dad or Maryland man or whatever they want to do to just be covering up the truth about who they are. But yeah, they call him just a suburban dad when he's most likely a paid activist, because the reason why I say that he's probably a paid activist and the family is paid is because the only trace of him having any kind of means of making a living is his gecko company. And you're thinking, you mean Geico? No, gecko. So he and his family apparently run a business where they sell gecko lizards. And I'm thinking, okay, I imagine that's probably a thing. You're selling gecko lizards. How do you make a living? How do you pay a mortgage? How do you send a daughter to college? How do you do any of that selling gecko lizards? Is there that much of a demand? And maybe there is up in Minnesota, But how many people really have a gecko lizard in their houses and all that kind of stuff? Enough where you could have, a meaningful income one way or another over all this. And so nothing is adding up here, but the one thing that is adding up here is the FAFO element of all this, and daddy and daughter have learned what that is all about, and so they are cooked right now for this assault. Oddly enough, there is another daughter, and she is on Facebook, and she is actually apparently a wonderful human being, and this other daughter has been out on Facebook basically saying, I am distancing myself from this family. I am done with them, and I would never do this in a million years. Let's pop up to Washington, D.C. as young Caroline has just arrived at the podium. We'll see what she has to say in her briefing starting now.
And deliver remarks on the working families tax cuts. On Friday, President Trump will travel to Phoenix, Arizona to deliver remarks at a Turning Point USA event at Dream City Church. And I'm really honored to be standing here today on Tax Day with two esteemed members of the president's cabinet and his excellent economic team, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler. As we have seen this tax season, President Trump's working families tax cuts have put a historic amount of money back into the pockets of the American people this year. On the campaign trail in 2024, President Trump looked voters in the eye and promised them he would sign the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. And on Independence Day last year, President Trump and congressional Republicans delivered, passing the largest tax cut in history for working and middle-class Americans, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security. They also passed unprecedented tax relief for small businesses, farmers, workers, and families. With Tax Day officially here, the numbers prove these tax cuts have been nothing short of extraordinary. More than 53 million filers claimed at least one of President Trump's signature new tax cuts. The average refund this filing season is more than $3,400. The Trump administration has issued more refunds and larger refunds than in any year of the history of our country. And I will allow Secretary Bessent to break down the numbers in greater detail. President Trump and Republicans in Congress have always believed that the American people know how to spend their money better than the government does. But what the American people must not forget is that every single Democrat in Congress voted against these tax refunds. The media has largely omitted this fact and other critical details in their stories covering the benefits of the Trump tax cuts. If the Democrats in Congress had gotten their way and blocked President Trump's historic legislation, Americans would have faced the largest tax hike in history, nearly $4 trillion. The average taxpayer would have seen a 22% increase in their tax rates. Democrats in Congress have proven over and over again that they are the affordability frauds who believe the government should keep more of the American people's hard-earned money. This president and Republicans in Congress fundamentally believe that Americans deserve to keep more of their hard-earned paychecks. It's a clear contrast for American families to keep in mind. So with that, I will turn it over to our great Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and then he will turn it over to Kelly. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Caroline. I'm here to tell you that it has been a fantastic tax season. It has gone smoothly. It has gone efficiently from the point of view of the IRS, but most importantly, it's been a great tax season for the American people. Thanks to promises made, promises kept, through the working families tax cuts, the president has delivered the record refunds to the American people. More than 45% of the filers of the returns that we have seen have had at least one of the four president's signature policies: no tax and tips, no tax and overtime, the deductions for our great seniors, and the deductibility of interest on auto loans for American-made cars. And I will tell you that one of those that Americans have taken is no tax and overtime. And it's the American way. If you want to work longer hours, you get to keep more of your money. And with that, we are seeing, I want to encourage everyone out there watching today to change their withholding, if they haven't already done so, because if you change your withholding, then you will get an automatic real wage increase, be it on a weekly or a monthly basis, and you will be able to keep more of your money this calendar year. So with that, we have also seen with the Trump accounts, we have had 5 million families file for Trump accounts for their children. 1.2 million of those are eligible for the $1,000 seed bonus. So we look forward to that picking up more and more. For those of you who haven't done it, it's easy to remember, Form 4547. You can do it while you're filing your taxes. You can do it at any point during the year. We think this is going to be transformational in terms of financial literacy. This is Financial Literacy Month.
All right, people. So you're getting tax tips from the Commerce Secretary, which is really pretty cool. Thank you, Mr. Bassett. This good news on this tax day is on top of the great news that we now basically are OPEC. Thanks to the Hormuz blockage and everything else. You might as well call it the Strait of America, but the Gulf of America is where it's at. So many countries now have decided, hey, we need to go to the U.S. for our oil. And that's exactly what they're doing. Talk to you more about that. This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Clayton Sleep Institute, Dr. Joe Ogile, what a fantastic guy he is, longtime friend of mine, and all-around great guy, and also, ladies and gentlemen, a world-renowned sleep expert, which is very, very cool. So here's how it's all going to play out for you. Sometimes some of you might have a situation where you have sleep apnea, otherwise known as snoring. Sleep apnea is a very serious sleeping condition because your breathing is stopping. It's really bad for you, and you're not getting a good night's sleep. And it's also because of that fact that when you're not getting a good night's sleep and beyond, because of that fact, sometimes it results in weight gain and everything else because your metabolism is slowing, because your metabolism isn't getting the proper rest that it needs to go ahead and metabolize. That's how it all works. So a lot of people wind up gaining weight and they don't know why, and it could easily be tied to your sleep issues, especially as it relates to sleep apnea. Insomnia is another thing altogether. A lot of people are using artificial means to try to sleep. That's not the way it should be done. Dr. Ogile can show you the path there. Better sleep and better life. And also pediatric sleep problems, something else that Dr. Ogile will address. And that's exactly really super important for a lot of you. I know some of you take care of the grandkids on the weekends, right? And the kids won't get to sleep. And it's a common problem even at their house, whatever. Well, that could be something that Dr. Ogile can fix once and for all. And don't also forget about restless leg syndrome and beyond. Those are things where your body is waking you up. I mean, it's really frustrating, but Dr. Ogile can do it. You can have a consultation or you can have the full ride there, which is spending the night at their sleep clinics. And these are like boutique hotel rooms, very comfortable, not intimidating, not sterile by any stretch of the imagination, and they monitor you all night. And then they will be able to see exactly what's really going on with you and help you along the way to a better life thanks to a better sleep from Clayton Sleep Institute. ClaytonSleep.com. That's ClaytonSleep.com.
What if your child's education went beyond test scores, fostering a life of cheerful virtue and the pursuit of excellence as a gift returned to God? At the St. Austin School, Catholic and classical education come together. No tablets or laptops in the classroom. A 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio. Our students successfully compete and lead at their choice of top high schools in St. Louis. Learn more at staustinschool.org. That's staustinschool.org.
Spring weather has everyone sneezing, even inside their home or building. Instead of saying Gesundheit, call Wellington Environmental to perform air tests to determine if mold levels are too high. Gesundheit is the same as saying bless you after someone sneezes, the German word meaning wishing you good health. Wellington Environmental can perform air testing that is simple, fast, and can identify issues keeping you from having good health. Wellington does the same for hospitals and nursing homes for indoor concerns. Give them a call. It's simple. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Tell Cindy, I need air sampling. They've seen it all. They can help you. Next time you hear Gesundheit, think Wellington. Wellington Environmental. Be well with Wellington.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
By now, you've heard of the DoorDash delivery to the Oval Office. President Trump taking delivery of hamburgers and even paying a $100 tip. The leftist publication, The Daily Beast, rushed out to tell you this was all staged. Really? The Daily Beast calling it a stunt, mocking Trump, saying this was fake news. Is that right? You mean to tell me a grandma working for DoorDash wasn't able to get through all the security just to deliver burgers to Trump? How stupid do you have to be to even think this was unplanned? Trump even joked, this doesn't look staged, does it? The DoorDash delivery was an opportunity to push his no tax on tips. But the Daily Beast had another breaking news report. The same grandmother testified before the Ways and Means Committee when the bill was being debated. The funny thing here is not that this was a staged photo op. The funny thing is that the Daily Beast, which often deals in fake news, wanted to blow the whistle. This was staged. Look, if you need the Daily Beast to say this was fiction, I have a fact for you. You need help.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
The Allman Report, sponsored by Gulf Shores Restaurant.
Hello, mind. Hey there, mind. Haven't chatted in a while. I got so busy thinking a while. Backing up to my whole life, mistakes I made, touching my own hand, and things that I've said. Hey there, mind. Can you come back to me?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you, Ashlyn over there, and this is the 3 Martini Lunch. It's Common Sense Radio. You know, aside from the great news that is delivered at the Young Caroline event there at the White House, and that is about Americans seeing everything enriched. But your tax day, you're actually benefiting so much from all the things that President Trump has done domestically. And just wait until you see what he has done geopolitically for all of you. Ashton, you like this song? I wrote it. Huh? I did. I did. I wrote it.
Well, yeah. If you wrote it, it's amazing.
All I had to do was I put it into an app called Suno, S-U-N-O.
Mm-hmm.
And so I read a lot of poetry and everything, and I just kind of took some of it and turned them into songs.
Wow, you're so talented. So you
Well,
bake?
I don't know how these people do it. You know what I mean? I just wrote the stuff. I didn't write the music. It's crazy.
Well, you bake, and you're a host, and apparently you can write music, and you play the trumpet. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
talent.
But I didn't write the music on this, but I just put it into this thing, and it created the music.
You did a wonderful job.
I have a bunch of them up there. I've got a channel. It's a Suno channel. It's Jamie Allman there, so you can check it out. I've got a bunch of stuff up there, and you could see how you feel about them. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Let's talk about how this whole thing works, and let's talk about what is going on with the Strait of Hormuz, and what really is going to be going on with America being basically in its golden age of energy production, meaning we are basically going to be taking the place of OPEC. And you remember about 2022, and Julie, thank you. You're on that channel also. Anyway, we remember it was 2022 or so, and we get into this thing where suddenly Biden is president, he was a complete and total disaster. But suddenly we get into this, and we're actually trying to figure out what OPEC's next move is as it relates to our oil and beyond. And it's just I'm thinking, OPEC? I mean, how 1990s of us? Because remember when we had to worry what all the Arabs were doing, all the guys in the robes were doing. And they were the ones who controlled oil production in the world. They were the ones who controlled what we pay for a gallon of gas. Meanwhile, terrorists like Barack Obama and Joe Biden, everybody else, were putting so many crimps on refineries and everything else. Our refineries slowed to the point where our production was just so bad. At one point during Trump's first term, Texas was a huge oil producer. In fact, people would move down to Texas. They had these, I talked to Steve Moore about this, they had these like camps, like back in the old days, like mining camps, except these were oil rig employee camps. And these guys would basically be living there, working on the rigs, at the rigs and all that other stuff, and then would just send the money home. So they were all from different parts of the country and everything else. But what happened is Biden gets elected, steals the election, of course, and starts to destroy our oil business. I mean, in fact, I think we built the first refinery, if I'm not mistaken, like in 50 years. We just started building one. So anyway, what happened with the Strait of Hormuz, and I explained a lot of this yesterday, so I don't need to go back in time to tell you about that hot air article that was so great that Dwayne Patterson wrote. But listen to this. Windward is a maritime intelligence firm, so they follow up on all this kind of stuff. And it said that as of Monday, 171 crude tankers were bound to the U.S. Gulf Coast, which is more than 50% above the typical monthly average. Those numbers can fluctuate, but directionally it is clear that we are witnessing a surge in demand for American oil. And you're trying to figure out, well, why would that be? Well, that's because the Strait of Hormuz is blocked. And that is what is creating this opportunity for American industry. And this is incredible. So we're becoming basically the provider to most of the world now, the provider of oil. And like I told you yesterday, the prediction is that our next quarter GDP is going to be absolutely monster because of what is going on. So what's happening is most of these countries now are steaming towards the U.S. to fill up on our oil because they're all rerouting from the blocked Strait of Hormuz. So they're just rerouting and basically making the Strait of Hormuz a shadow of its former self, which is why, we joke, well, we call it the Strait of America now, but why would you? It's not even a thing anymore, thanks to the blockade, which President Trump basically tricked the Iranians into forcing because they walked away from the table that J.D. Vance was sitting at. And I told you J.D. Vance was not real friendly to the idea of war in Iran. So basically what happened is President Trump sent him over there instead of, let's say, Marco Rubio, sent him over there saying that, man, if the Iranians don't buy into what J.D. Vance is saying, and he's a dove basically on this whole thing, not a criticism of him, I'm just saying that he is. But if the Iranians aren't going to listen to him, they're going to listen to no one. And that'll be my excuse to ruin them and create a huge boon for America. And it is really pretty crazy because if I didn't know any better, I would have thought that this was President Trump's plan all along because you never know, right? You never know. It's crazy when you think about it and you're like, oh, well, that's interesting. So now we have become, as a result of all of this, now we have become the largest oil-producing, oil-selling country in the world, which is pretty dramatic considering 4 years ago we were still wondering about OPEC and beyond. And so, I don't know, was that President Trump's plan all along? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is it's going to be paying off for us, and ultimately it's going to be paying off in more jobs because the oil industry in America is about to experience a period of gigantic growth. And that basically means that there's going to be more employment in the oil industry. And already President Trump is being attacked for it and everything else. And so because the Democrats are jealous because they don't have a better idea. And so the payoff for this in the end for a lot of you, folks, by the time the midterms come around in November, all this stuff, hopefully, all right, this stuff will be coming home to roost. People will start seeing their results. People will start seeing the reduction of gas prices. I'm not actually quite sure why the gas prices haven't gone down even just a little bit of late, but they need to. And I believe that they will, and we will start having more of a payoff for the rest of the country, and we'll see economically and beyond. We'll see how it goes, and I'm really super excited about it. But I don't know why people aren't really talking about this. I mean, I'm seeing it, but I don't know why. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. Thank you for listening. So I told you about the violent lefties up there in Minnesota attacking that journalist. Well, now apparently Erica Kirk is coming under threat to her life. So we'll follow up on that on this side. And Mark Harder going to be joining us, too, about what's going on with St. Louis County. Sam Page suing him and the rest of the council.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully, too, you're going to see a boost in your 401k and all that other stuff. And certainly, with the markets the way they are, there are so many different ways that the Gemini Wealth Group has funneled some real great benefits to you through its diversification of portfolios and everything else. So when you hook up with them for your retirement, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get more than 100 years of experience in portfolio management and retirement investment and all that other stuff. You're going to really experience that through their own investment prowess. They're really good at this. They have a real dedicated and unique plan that will create a situation where you're living off of your dividends instead of touching the main part of your portfolio, but living off your dividends and really, truly enjoying your golden years without too much hassle, because they're really good at what they do. On top of that, you're going to get the planning. You're going to get the planning for your healthcare costs, for your living costs, whatever, housing costs, planning for your travel, if that's really what you want to do, is travel around the world or maybe take some trips you were thinking of taking all your whole life, and they'll help you arrange all of that stuff. Maybe you're taking care of the grandkids with their college or whatever it happens to be, or just you're wanting to live a good, solid life with a nice home, and that's what you want to do for your golden years. People living 20, 30, and 40 years after their retirement, and the Gemini Wealth Group is the one that will be right there with you the entire way, and they indeed are. They'll tell you stories about people 101 years old and still hanging out with the Gemini Wealth Group. So check it out, thegeminiwealthgroup.com, thegeminiwealthgroup.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tim Jones here to introduce you to your new favorite roofing company, Corel Roofing. There were 4 major storms last year. Did your roof take a hit? Do you even know? Most homeowner insurance policies require claims to be filed within 1 year, so time's running out for a closer look. At Corel Roofing Company, you get a local roofing specialist who will advocate for you every step of the way. Give yourself peace of mind. Schedule your roof inspection today with Corel Roofing at CorelRoofingCo.com. That's CorelRoofingCo.com.
Hey, Mike Ferguson here, and for nearly 40 years, Nutrition Stop has been St. Peter's trusted source for natural living. They've got a great, knowledgeable staff offering more than just products. They provide guidance on your wellness journey with exceptional service. From 100% grass-fed meats like elk and bison and local produce to quality supplements and clean household products, 4101 Mexico Road in St. Peter's, just off the interstate at Cave Springs and Highway 70.
Colombo and Company.
Wednesday marks exactly 1 month left in the 2026 Missouri legislative session, and we'll discuss the latest coming from Jeff City with Rodney Boyd, plus Danny Define and Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by Newsteaders Fine Jewelry.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 Martini Lunch. Coming up, a special treat for those of you who are interested in South St. Louis or have some history in South St. Louis. My old friend from broadcasting, Jim Buffaro, has written a book about good old-fashioned Hampton Avenue and beyond. So he's going to be in about 1:40 to talk to us a little bit about that. You'll remember all that stuff. Some things will ring a bell. Speaking of ringing a bell, did you guys see that Sid Croft passed away at the age of, I guess it was maybe 96, I think it was. And you guys remember Sid Croft, because Sid Croft was the guy who did the Land of the Lost. You remember the Land of the Lost? It was like this fakey little show. And what was funny is, and this was back in the 70s. And you guys know, back in those days when we were kids, and we had all these funky little weird type of shows like, what was it, Lancelot Link? And it was just like the monkeys, they would have, like, they had chimpanzees and stuff. And they would basically have them eating something, and that would be the equivalent of talking. It's like Mr. Ed, So they didn't have AI or anything like that. So they, in order to get them to look like they were talking, they just like gave them peanuts or something. And then some guy would just be, hey, Lancelot Link, I'm you'd never make it. Was like watching a Japanese movie. But then they had Land of the Lost and HR Puff and stuff, which were really weird. Like Land of the Lost was crazy because they would do this, the intro. the intro was so, it was crazy. So what they did was they like shot a tiny little creek close up, and then superimposed these people on a raft. And they basically just, like pasted the raft to the video to make it look like they were going down the. So I was like 8, and I knew this was like, oh, that looks really fake. Yeah, see, there's this little creek. You just look it up. It's from 1974. So okay, I wasn't 8. I was actually 11. But even then, I'm like, but I still watched it. And then HR Puffin stuff was just really, really weird too. But anyway, that was the Sid Croft. I thought it was Sid and Marty. I think Marty passed away. And then, Slee Stack, right, Julie? They had the Slee Stack. The acting in it was like, there's a monster. It's a giant dinosaur.
That was too close.
Yeah, and it's always like the same jungle scene and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was Sid and Marty Croft. And I think they also did a show. Was it the Banana Splits? Do you guys remember the Banana Splits? Well, Julie, I know we were supposed to be outside, but I think I think Land of the Lost came on, like there was a sequence of events on a Saturday morning. So you had, first of all the regular cartoons, you had the Jets, you had all those regular cartoons. And then around 9 o'clock, things shifted to the more like TV type of shows, like the Land of the Lost or the Banana Splits or Lancelot Link, HR Puffin stuff. And those shows came on. Those were the ones that were like real live on film TV shows and things like that. The others were cartoons. And then eventually you got to be about 11 o'clock. And that is where you had the more serious cartoon. And I can't remember. You guys need to remind me. It was the dog was Bandit. And it was something else. I can't remember that show. And it was the one in the very beginning where it had like an eyeball that looked like a spider, And then eventually around then, like it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you'd have that. And then, of course, you got into like the serious business of like more adult television. Julie's mentioning American Bandstand or Soul Train. I like Soul Train, tell you the truth. It was always cool. Cornelius, whatever his name is. Yeah, Johnny Quest. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, Johnny Quest. But then you had all the dance shows, whatever else. And then around 1 o'clock, it was Charlie Chan time. And or Ma and Pa Kettle or any of those film things, And believe me, if Charlie Chan came on and you were still inside and it was nice weather outside, you were in deep doo-doo. You were in deep trouble. There's no way that you should be still inside. I mean, Johnny Quest was pushing it, but there was really no way that you should be inside when Charlie Chan came on or any of those film things came on. It was the Bowery Boys. Remember those? Like that was, you go deep into the afternoon. So it either had to be, snowing 10 inches or monsooning or a tornado or something, but you had no excuse to be inside after that. So that was how the Saturday mornings came. It was always so much fun. I mean, I really enjoyed watching those cartoons and then seeing, Abbott and Costello too, Greg, and seeing the commercials for things that like I would never be able to have. I mean, I wasn't deprived or anything, but we'd always see some commercials for like Captain Crunch and Honeycomb cereal. I'm like, oh, who has that? I wonder. Somebody eats it. They eat it on TV. My mom. No sugared cereal. You guys heard the story. I probably benefited a lot from that. Anyway, you guys, coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we'll discuss the Erica Kirk issue. And this is bad news. And thanks to people like Candace Owens, people are making threats on her life.
A new game day favorite is coming to Busch Stadium on Saturday, April 25th, when the Cardinals host the Seattle Mariners. That day, fans take home a Victory Blue Cardinals crewneck sweatshirt presented by Purina, a light and easy style that's perfect for spring and designed to fit right into your everyday wardrobe. Available in medium and extra large while supplies last. A limited look you'll want to wear again and again. Tickets and info at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Jose Fermin. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
Every Sunday home game is a Kids Sunday at Busch Stadium. From Team Fredbird and games to a kid-friendly DJ, ice cream, and family favorite activities. Sundays are built for young fans. Plus, select Sundays feature kids run the bases after the game. It's a day made for smiles, memories, and Cardinals baseball together. Make Sundays your family tradition at Busch Stadium. Tickets and details at cardinals.com/kidsunday.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
I want to share something with you. Cooking a pizza using coal creates an amazing pizza. Only one place to get it, Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. Of course, they offer a wide variety of pasta, but you just visit the website napolistl.com, dine in or take out, and get ready for patio season. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Try it. You can thank me later.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. April 15th, and that makes it Tax Day 2026. Economist Steve Moore says refunds are higher this year for many Americans thanks to the president's tax policies.
People are seeing a nice reduction in their income taxes. People, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, the lower tax rates.
The administration says millions of people have already used new tax breaks, including Trump accounts for children's savings. The president says the war against Iran may end soon. The president told Fox Business the war in Iran was, in his words, very close to over, even though Iran has refused to meet U.S. demands about ending its nuclear weapons program once and for all. The president again threatening to fire the Fed's Jerome Powell if he doesn't leave voluntarily after his chairmanship expires next month.
If Powell decides to stay on the central bank's governing board after his term as chair expires, then the president says he'll have to fire him. During a Fox Business interview, Donald Trump also refused to end a criminal investigation into a renovation project at the Fed's headquarters. The investigation faces bipartisan opposition in Congress and has delayed Senate consideration of the president's nominee to replace Powell when his term ends on May 15th. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Stocks are hovering near new record highs.
I'm Seth Sutel, and this is Markets in a Minute. Stocks are holding near their records on Wall Street after a big rally over the past 2 weeks. The S&P 500 rose 0.4% in the first hour of trading Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 146 points. That's about 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite rose 0.8%. After falling almost 10% below its record in late March, the S&P has jumped 10% so far in April. The hope on markets is that the global economy can avoid a worst-case scenario because of the war between the U.S. and Iran. Seth Sutel, New York.
More at townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
The clouds and the rain that we had this morning may inhibit these storms later this evening and tonight from becoming severe, but we still expect a round of severe storms. Highs today in the low to mid 80s. And again, cloudy skies and showers and thunderstorms likely this evening into tonight. And some of those could be a little on the strong side from later this afternoon through tonight. Tomorrow should be mainly rain-free. After the morning, the skies actually clear out and give us some sunshine, but we'll see some more storms again by Friday. In the First Alert Weather Center, I'm KMOB meteorologist Kent Earhart.
For over 50 years, Di Gregorio's Italian Market has been serving up a taste of Italy right here in St. Louis.
Family owned and operated, nestled in the heart of the hill. From homemade sausage and meatballs to spadini, pizzas, pastas, and sauces, our wide variety of Italian specialties will transport your taste buds straight to Rome. For a truly authentic Italian shopping experience, visit your friends at Di Gregorio's. Shop local, shop Di Gregorio's Italian Market, where every bite tells a story.
Hey, it's Chris Arps. Becky and I recently discovered a restaurant that's quickly become one of our go-to restaurants, Timothy's in Creve Coeur. Led by executive chef Will Mabry, Timothy's serves contemporary American cuisine with a touch of Southern charm. Dishes like pastrami, smoked lamb, and shrimp and grits. My wife absolutely loved the lobster pot pie, and everything we've tried has been incredible. Amazing house-made desserts and over 500 wines to choose from. Enjoy dinner 7 nights a week, plus lunch, brunch, and private events. Timothy's in Creve Coeur at 12710 Olive Boulevard or online at timothysstl.com.
Missouri's laws are clear. Unregulated gaming devices are illegal. Companies have been telling businesses that gray market machines are legal. That's wrong. Don't be scammed. If you have these devices at your business, you could be subject to criminal and civil penalties. Unplug and remove these devices today.
If you've been approached to host illegal gaming machines, call now 800-523-1434 or visit ago.mo.gov. Sponsored by the Attorney General's Office.
Why has Steph's Pizza become the place to go for St. Louis-style pizza, appetizers, salads, and pastas? One taste and you'll know. Dine-in, pickup, delivery, even DoorDash. Locally owned and operated with legendary pizza and a new location in Lake St. Louis at 111 Palm Fort Trail. In St. Peters, St. Charles, and the original Stephanitas in O'Fallon on Veterans Memorial Parkway. Steph's Pizza is proud to be part of the News Talk STL family. Check them out at stephspizza.com. And remember, tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday.
I feel forced to hold on to a dark and cold tether of
This is Common Sense Radio. It's the 3 martini lunch for all of you and yours. Jamie Allman here with you and Ashlyn over there. And we'll get to the Erica Kirk thing in a second here, but we want to clear a little bit of the Jesus stuff up because there still is a lot of it going on. So where do we start? Well, let's start with Joy Behar. So Joy is, of course, of the belief that that Jesus was essentially narcissistic because he was acknowledging the Messiah. He was,
I'm the Messiah. I'm the Messiah.
Jesus
This
kind of
guy-
did say he was
you're
the
supposed to have a little bit
Well,
of.
that's exactly what Jesus said. I am the Messiah.
You know what? No, is it not?
It's
Jesus
been a minute
was more
since I
Here's
heard
the
like
thing.
that.
The Pope's got him. He's got God behind.
She just said I knew Jesus.
So Joy is a little bit kind of deserved because she's got a little bit of a problem here because she doesn't seem to be in a situation where she knows much about the Bible. And, of course, it's my understanding, I think Joy Behar's Catholic. So, I don't know. But anyway, if somebody came back and said that basically, yeah, there are several places where the divinity of Jesus was acknowledged. Claims to divinity in Mark, Matthew, John. Claims to the Messiah, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So it was never really any kind of controversy at all in any way, shape, or form about the divinity and about the fact that he is indeed was called the Messiah and called himself that too, and to a certain degree. So now to Tucker Carlson and his take on all things Jesus-y. So for some reason, he's really going off the deep end on this whole papal thing and what President Trump said about the Pope. And then, of course, the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, posted on an X a message to Pope Leo that he condemned the desecration of Jesus and wished him glory by Allah. And, of course, I said yesterday that was another papal achievement, was getting a terrorist to stand up for him. So there's another notch in your gilded slippers there, brother. Tucker Carlson then goes on X and says this: the people in charge don't want you to know this, but Muslims love Jesus. Islam reveres him as a great prophet and messenger of the Lord, believes he performed miracles, and states that he will return to earth to defeat the Antichrist. That's why Donald Trump painting and depicting himself as the son of God, offended the president of Iran. It was an attack on his religion as well as Christianity. So this is a situation where Tucker Carlson is out of your mind. First of all, and I'm not attacking Muslims for this. I mean, there are plenty of people in other religions who don't acknowledge the divinity of Jesus Christ. I mean, I get it, and that's fine. But don't go the other way around. There's no way you could possibly say with any kind of credibility that Muslims love Jesus. I mean, they might love him as a person, let's put it this way, but here's the deal. They denied his divinity, and he's subservient to Allah. They don't love Jesus. What the hell? And I don't know where he even gets that. And then in Islam, this is taught here. David Harsani points it out. He says Muhammad promises Jesus will return to break the cross, eliminate Christianity, and establish Islam as the sole religion. That's not so. Where Tucker got this idea that somehow Islam believes he's going to come back and attack the Antichrist. No, he's going to come back and erase Christianity. That's what Islam believes. I mean, come on. Other people just ate Tucker Carlson alive. I mean, I'm not quite sure why you would go and make this statement that is so provably untrue. Doesn't make any sense to me. Here's another one. Yeah, Muslims love Jesus so much, and they prove it by slaughtering his followers throughout Africa and the Middle East. And that's true, too. Muslims murder Christians. And Tucker Carlson needs to ask why. And I think you'll find the answer is not because Muslims love Jesus. This is another one. Seth Dillon points this out. I think it's a good one. He says, also worth pointing out that the Jesus of Islam is not the Jesus of Christianity. Islam explicitly denies Jesus' divinity, crucifixion, resurrection, and atonement. They don't love Jesus. They lie about Jesus. So this idea that somehow the fact that the Iranian president is talking about the desecration of Jesus and getting a thumbs up from Tucker Carlson is absolutely just the kind of Islamic jihadist propaganda we definitely do not need in this country, and certainly not because, And then so Banshee is another guy on X who's really kind of funny sometimes, taking a couple steps from the declaration from Tucker Carlson that Muslims love Jesus. Yeah, that and the whole them believing he'll return to destroy Christianity and smite its stubborn adherents thing. This is. Listen to this, though, and this is Bonchi again. He says, why does Islam include mentions of Jesus? Because a genocidal pedophile trying to validate his evil appropriated him 600 years later to plug into his religion. There is no actual Jesus in Islam. There's just a blasphemous caricature twisted to serve a degenerate's needs. So that's pretty crazy. Another one points out the Hadiths teach he'll return to renounce his divinity, destroy Christianity, and kill its followers. Weird you didn't mention that part, Tucker. Yeah, I mean, Tucker used to be so smart and intelligent and insightful and everything else, and now he's just become kind of a hack, and it really is driving people crazy. I'm not quite sure we have much more use for him at this point. Meanwhile, a lot of the people like the Megyn Kellys, I don't know whether Tucker Carlson has really been very aggressive towards Erica Kirk, but people like Candace Owens has, and they have turned a lot of people against Erica Kirk with insinuations somehow that she might have had something to do with Charlie's death, which is absolutely categorically ridiculous. These are the same people that say Mossad somehow had something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. And she has mocked her. People have mocked her online because she's good friends with J.D. Vance and his wife, and they try to insinuate somehow there was some kind of untoward relationship between Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance. But this happened at the University of Georgia, and this was last night. Erica Kirk had to cancel an appearance because of serious and credible threats on her life. Now, I'm not insinuating, because I don't know, whether or not things said by Candace Owens have turned people on Erica Kirk. Who knows? I mean, if these left wingers would kill Charlie, they certainly would kill the person who is replacing him as well. And here's how it played out last night.
So for those of you wondering why I don't have really flowing long blonde hair right now, so I'm going to address it right at the front. Mr. Vice President, I'm on stage here instead of our friend Erica Kirk. That's right. Because unfortunately, she has received some very serious threats in her direction, which is terrible. It's a terrible reflection on the state of reality and the state of the country. But it underscores a larger point that she has received a lot of attacks from surprising places, perhaps. Tell us what you think about that. Some of the people that have made, part-time jobs out of it.
And that insinuation, of course, is we don't know where the threats are from. We don't know whether they're from the left or whether they're from the right in the form of the Candace Owens disciples or whatever. I'm not saying that because I don't know. But clearly it seems to be this person who has knowledge about the threats and the credible threats, as they call them, the serious threats, he jumped right to the fact that there were many, many people who have been defaming her, and they're not necessarily from the left.
Of attacking Erica, and this is the net result.
Sure. Well, first of all, I love Erica, and I know that she did get some threats. And, about 2 hours ago, as you know, Andrew, I was a little worried that we were going to have to cancel the event because Erica was not going to come, and she was very worried about it. And I talked to the Secret Service, and obviously these guys do a very good job. And I said, you know what? Let's let Erica do what she needs to do for herself and her family. I'm sure Andrew will fill in. And let's go and make this an amazing event with the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens, Georgia. So absolutely, we're going to do this thing.
Yeah, so he didn't really get too far into some of these threats. But the fact of the matter is, she can't appear at a public event. She's scared to appear because people are threatening her. And the only concern, well, among many concerns, I must say, but one of the main concerns is that if it's that easy to keep Erica Kirk from taking a stage, they'll just keep doing it. They'll just keep threatening her so that her voice is ultimately drowned out. That's another tactic. And then there is somebody who chimed in and said, you know, what a world we're living in when Erica Kirk, a widow, has to back out of an event with the vice president due to threats. Just as likely to come from Candace Owens' brain-dead cult as from the same kind of leftist who killed her husband. So that's really a sad situation now, because we've got Erica Kirk having people who have their knives out from both sides. And I don't even know how in the world someone who is conservative could possibly turn their anger and their angst on Erica Kirk. It doesn't, none of that is, you know, people who have been challenging her tears, even tracing her tears. Well, those tears don't come out of that part of the eye. It's like, really, people? And then Candace Owens and all of her insinuations, these are all people who are trying to kind of grift and find their lane. And some of them indeed have found their lane. I think Tucker is a similar quotient there. Candace Owens almost certainly is. And Megyn Kelly, who's been kind of quiet lately, almost certainly is. So, but now it's having real consequences. And again, I am not insinuating that this happened, that in fact, the Candace Owens criticism created these threats, but it is pretty clear that there are two elements on the right and the left who don't like Erica Kirk. So, all right, coming up, we're going to talk with Mark Harder. Something's going on in St. Louis County. Sam Page and his England trip is creating a little bit of a tussle there in the county. So Councilman Mark Harder will be with us in just a little bit. And then a special little treat from a writer who has captured the heart of the Hampton Avenue area. Heart and history, let's put it that way. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know, Hanson's Tree Service, just amazing. Love these guys. And Jeff Hansen has been the late, great Jeff Hansen was just a longtime friend and really just great guy. And we miss him. He created Hanson's Tree Service because he wanted to do a dynamic, very friendly to the customers type of organization. He wanted to support common sense conservative radio while doing it all. And he brought so many other supporters of it to my show, for instance. So I love the guy for all he's done for me. And he tragically died several years ago. We still miss him. And Chad Hansen, his son, who I knew when he was even just a little kid, you know. And so I'm so happy to see Chad now not only having taken over the business, but just carrying on the great tradition that Jeff Hansen had in mind when he started Hanson's Tree Service. And he's expanded it too. Because now, I told you they had snow plowing over the winter time, and they have all kind of new ways of making people happy. They have a financing program. They're all over the social media nowadays, those young whippersnappers. And so it's really great. And the branding of Hanson's Tree Service is awesome. And I have used them every single time I need a tree taken down, or I need a tree deadwooded and pruned, or whatever. As you guys have been able to see of late, we have had a variety of storms, especially during the springtime, and these storms are not fun, and sometimes they can be very damaging, especially to your trees that might have had a bad time during the wintertime and will not survive in the springtime. So you got to be super careful about all that. HansonsTree.com, deadwooding and pruning. Don't forget about the mulching that they are able to bring to you as well. All kinds of different flavors of mulch, as I like to say, all different colors and things like that. And, of course, they have the Magic Bean, which is going to grow your plants and everything else in ways that you cannot possibly imagine. The Magic Bean was created by Jeff Hanson. HansonsTree.com, HansonsTree.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Gulf Shores Restaurant, Pacific Animal Hospital, and Williams Brothers Meats. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Want to work with a winner? Follow the multiplier. 279 times growth in total market cap in the past nearly 30 years. 50 times growth in client assets. And ranked the #1 wealth management firm for employee advisor satisfaction by J.D. Power 3 years in a row. Choose a winner. Choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE. For J.D. Power 2025 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wallner Home Selling Team of Berkshire Hathaway. I am a proud member of the Wallner Home Selling Team. 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. And let me tell you, Rodney and Jen have been longtime friends of mine, and I finally just said, hey, I love you guys. I love the possibility of being in real estate, and now I am with the best team in the Berkshire Hathaway network you're going to find anywhere in the land. 314-810-SOLD. I do mostly buyers agencies, but, I'll get your home sold for you as well. And we've got a really great system for selling homes, and that is we dress them up, we do the drone shots, we make people fight over them, and you get the highest price you're going to get and the most reasonable negotiated commission rates you're going to find anywhere. So we're good. That's why we're #1 in the Berkshire Hathaway network. As a buyer's agent, I'm going to fight for you every step of the way, whether it be on the inspections part of it. Well, that would be after it's accepted. So I would fight for you on the price and make sure we get the best price for you and the best value for you, and then follow it through with you on all the inspections, everything else. I just got a credit for one of my buyers for a sewer line, and we bought the home as is. That's how good I am, people, let me tell you. And that's going to be the power of the Wallner Home Selling Team of Berkshire Hathaway. 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, just the other day, one of the listeners specifically asked for me, and I'm not going to mention his name. I didn't actually ask him beforehand whether I could mention his name, so I'm not going to do that now. But nonetheless, I showed him a home over the weekend. And so you can ask for me by name, too. 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere. The Allman Report, sponsored by Santino's Cigar Bar in Imperial.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Common Sense Radio. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL, the 3 Martini Lunch, my friends. Hey, first of all, this is always so confusing to me, especially when government people are traveling overseas. I get it. Not sure whether it's a vacation or a work thing or whatever else, but there's some trouble going on there in St. Louis County. In just about an hour and a half, it'll wind up at the St. Louis County Courthouse, and none other than St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder will be part of all that as one of the targets, I guess, of this action. Mark Harder said when I walked in today, he's like, "You going to sue me too?" I'm like, "What happened?" I'm getting sued by Sam Page. What's going on here, brother?
Oh, brother. So yesterday was a pretty volatile day. A lot of fireworks. What's happening is that Sam Page is going to be leaving the country on a trip, a junket trip with our Economic Development Partnership Group to go to England. The idea is to celebrate the new routes for British Airways that will be coming directly from England to St. Louis 2 times a week for at least this summer, and then it could be extended until next week, which is a great thing. But what happens is that when they do these, the mayor of St. Louis, the county executives in the region, other people are invited to take the flight over there and then the flight back, and everybody shakes hands, takes pictures, and all that kind of thing. And so he's going to be leaving for about 5 or 6 days for that. The issue is our charter says that when the county executive leaves the county, which I think England is outside of St. Louis County, leaves the county, he has to notify the consul, and the chair then, by our charter, which I laid in front of you there, has specific language that the chair basically is the county executive for that period of time only. And when you come back, everybody goes back the way they were. So he didn't like that arrangement. It's not to his decision, but he has filed a lawsuit against the consul because we're going to enforce the charter, which the people of St. Louis County voted on years ago. And so he's taken us to court at 3 o'clock today in St. Louis County Circuit and to fight us over this thing.
So, but it doesn't seem, first of all, he doesn't like the decision, but the decision is in line with the charter. So, right. So what's going to be his argument? And it seems to me that obviously this costs money and everything else when you're suing somebody as it is, and you guys have to defend yourselves. So what's his case it's not a matter of just what his personal opinion is. It's about what the charter says, correct?
Well, and the problem with Sam Page is that it is personal opinion. He's ignored our charter on a number of different things, including second employment and things like that. And so then he goes to court. He spends a lot of money, tax money, your money, my money, to defend himself or to prosecute whatever his issue is. And he loses every time when he goes against our charter. Our charter is very clean, very, it's written in English. And every time he goes against that, he usually loses. And so I think he'll lose on this one. It's Judge Ott is who is going to be, he'll be before. It's kind of a thrown together. I mean, this has all come together in the last 24 hours because he wants to leave on this trip. Now, if he loses, and he doesn't like the decision of the judge, he could clear this up. Just don't go on the trip.
Yeah.
He's still the county executive. Don't go on the trip.
Yeah. What does he want to have happen, like when he's gone? What does he want?
He doesn't want anything to happen. That's the problem.
Oh, he just wants to take the county business and his executive job with him to England.
Well, yeah, and I think he's somehow worried that Rita Days, who is the chair, who would become the temporary person, is somehow going to go in and fire all of his people and, close the place down. Who knows what
She wouldn't do that, though, would she?
No.
Yeah.
No. This is the purpose of this. If you look back historically, some of these things came out of the Cold War. In other words, it was to have the continuity of leadership. Every organization, you have vice presidents, you have deputies. You have to have a continuity of leadership, and that's what this is about. It's about having somebody who's in charge. When the main person is gone, who's in charge? That way the public knows who's in charge of the government while someone, in this case, is out of the country, not just out of the county, but out of the country if something were to happen, like a tornado or an earthquake or whatever.
Yeah.
This is not about going in and, packing up their stuff and throwing them out, know. But that's the way it's being interpreted by him because he's so antagonistic to the consul. He thinks we're going to, go in there and fire all of his people.
Yeah.
Which probably is warranted, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And Rita Days is not going to do that. But that's the kind of the paranoia that's set in.
And have we had a situation where the St. Louis County courts have had to interpret a charter issue, and how common is it, if that is the case, that the county court system has upheld the charter as a document that is not breathing, it's there?
Right. Well, no, this has happened since the Stanger administration. We've probably been to court at least 4 times that I remember, and every time the consul position we've won. And it was usually because we were enforcing the charter and others felt that didn't apply to them.
Yeah.
And so the courts usually agreed with us, either in a very short time or in a little bit longer time, but they eventually agreed with us.
Yeah. Well, and when you mentioned the economic development part of this, it's a good trip. I mean, I think it's a, I know that I don't know what they're doing over there, but this organization, I forgot what it was called, but I think you were there too. We were
right.
at an event not too long ago. Very impressive. The economic
development partnership.
Yeah, the economic development partnership. Very impressive. I mean, they've been doing some really good work.
And they have an offshoot that's called the World Trade Center, which was the event we were in, and it's celebrating, trade with other countries around the world. And yes, they do a good job at that. But this is, as you know, some of these things are mostly for the media, and for the handshakes and the photos and the clanging of glassware, and then you come home.
Yeah,
and so. I've got inquiries in to find out who's paying for the trip because if it's tax, it was never asked for us to subsidize this. If it's coming out of the county's budget, if it's coming out of the partnership budget, that's still county money because we contribute to that, just like the city contributes to that. If it's a private donor or if the airline or whoever is contributing, that's a whole different situation as well. So we just need to know where the money's coming from, especially when we're in the hole that we're in. We can't have, we can't have frivolous money going on.
Well, you'd think at least British Airways, since they're going to England, would actually comp the flights. I mean, that would be something.
I mean, it's
nice to do.
It's a big delegation. It's probably 20 or so people that are going on this trip.
Wow.
And usually they send 20 over here and then we take 20 back there or whatever, however they did it. They did a similar thing when Lufthansa started their routes. And it's unfortunately, this is a good thing, getting bad press. And the bad press is around this lawsuit. This should be all celebrations all the way around.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's being tainted by this lawsuit that he brought on himself.
And what's the deal now? 2 flights a week, British Airways flights, or
I
what is
believe
it?
It's 2 flights. Yeah, that could get higher depending on work and on loads.
Yeah, well, that's great because what do we have? One. What's the other one that goes to? Is there one that still goes to Germany?
That's Lufthansa.
Lufthansa still goes to Germany.
Yeah, and that's picked up. That started at 2 times a week, and I think they're up to 4 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's a huge because of business travel and people, and it goes to Frankfurt. and that's a major hub to connect to all Europe and the rest of the world. So, with our immigrant population here, I'm sure a lot of folks are flying that route to get to the center of Europe and then taking other flights from there.
Yeah, well, that's good. I wish we were, we're never going to be back to, we're never going to be back to a day or two a day where we use that runway that we built.
Well, and it was because of TWA. This was their hub. And, I remember we went to Hawaii on our honeymoon, and it was a direct flight from St. Louis to Honolulu.
Yeah.
And it was once a week, but it was a 747, and it was full. Every seat was full.
Right on. Yeah. And I do remember because, a lot of my relatives lost their homes to that runway.
Yeah, out there in Bridgeton.
And that we don't even use that runway.
It's supposed to be a bad weather runway, I guess it was set up to be. I think they're using it more. We have overcapacity there in some cases when it comes to runway space.
Yeah, Jim Talent one time told me, because he was congressman at the time, and he told me, man, wait till you hear really how that whole thing went down. It'll turn you upside down. So maybe I'll take him up on that sometime. Yeah. All right, 3:00, and then is this going to be a summary judgment, or is this going to be just an appearance, or?
I think I don't think she's going to rule on the spot, but I think she's going to listen to both sides of the argument here and take it under advisement. They're pushing for an expedited process because he's leaving town over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I guess he's got to decide, is he going or not, and get this ruling. Now, one way or the other, he could appeal to, which would drag it out, and he could possibly drag this out after while he's gone. Who knows? But the whole thing is frivolous. It's frivolous all the way around. We don't have this money to spend, but we have to defend ourselves.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Who's the judge? You know?
Judge Ott.
Okay.
She used to be the presiding judge a number of years ago.
All right.
Very capable judge and very liked by both sides of the judiciary.
All right, sounds good. Mark Harder, St. Louis County Insider this weekend, right on News Talk?
That's right. At 5 o'clock on Sunday. Tune in.
Who do you got? What are you doing?
This week we've got Jim Brennan, one of the sponsors of the show with McKelvey Homes, is on to talk about some of his new development.
Yeah.
We've got the mayor of Clarkson Valley, Sue McNamara, is going to she's going to be on to talk about MoDOT and Clarkson Road and some of the proposal changes that they're making there. And then we've got Niles Stevens, who's running for state rep in the District 110 out in West County, and they're all going to be on to talk about their life.
Niles is a good guy. I've known him for a while. So, good. We'll be tuning in. That is St. Louis County Insider there. Oh, News Talk STL, 5 o'clock on Sundays. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Good luck today in court.
We'll see.
We'll give you an update tomorrow on how this whole thing shaked out. All right, a little bit of surprise for you. Yes, indeed, a little treat. Going back to St. Louis history, an old friend of mine has written a really cool book, and he will be in the studio here in just a few. It's Common Sense Radio, the 3 Martini Lunch.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
I was just talking the other day with Noel Buckingham Press Control. Noel's a really super good guy, and I explained, because he got back to me, because the other day on the air I told you about my time when I was working on a house. In fact, it was the house that I recently just got one of my clients into, and the inspector checked it out, and I saw it on the disclosure that they had termite treatment done by Buckingham Pest Control. And I was like, I know that guy. So that was really cool to see. And I see that on a lot of these seller disclosures, whatever. And it gives people peace of mind. And especially with Buckingham, they're like, well, then now we know. there are not going to be any termites. So that's really cool. So the termite season is upon us. You need to make sure you get that done. Check for it. If you have any doubts at all, or if you have a plethora of wood all around your home, whatever, you need to have that checked, because you're not going to know they're there until it's too late, and that's always a problem. Also, when it comes to your outdoor activities, I'm starting to hear about people opening their pools or rolling out their patio furniture, whatever. Buckingham Pest Control, Noel and his team will come out and completely eradicate the whole chance that there will be mosquitoes bothering you in any way, shape, or form. Get that treatment done. Forget about the off cans. I was doing that for a little while, just in the interim of between getting Noel in, and I just don't like the idea of spraying all that stuff on I don't even know what's going through my pores at this point. So let Noel do it for you. He's got also pet-friendly approaches to pest control as well. So check it all out. It's BuckinghamPestControl.com, BuckinghamPestControl.com.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers. Sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA. On this date, 1,500 died on a luxury cruise. The story behind the story. The Titanic.
Larry Connors, USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8.
On News Talk STL. The Allman Report, sponsored by the Walner Home Selling Team.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the program. The 3 Martini Lunch, the Allman Report on News Talk STL, Common Sense Radio. As always, happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. And thank you to Mark Harder again for being on the show and talking about the situation. I think the one takeaway from that is that, as Mark pointed out, it's like this is should be a good thing that's happening. I didn't even know that British Airways was going to start two flights a week to London. It's like, that's a pretty big deal coming from Lambert St. Louis Airport, that really kind of was somewhat ghettoized when TWA left and American Airlines and everything else. It just so this is kind of nice to be able to bring us back into maybe never the heyday of Lambert St. Louis International Airport, but historically it's been a great place, and we had a big loss when TWA left. That's just the way it goes. St. Louis history. So this is an old friend of mine, a radio legend, ladies and gentlemen. I know you have heard his name, Jim Buffaro, the velvety voiced newsman. Always straight ahead, right?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say. Yeah.
How long were you in St. Louis radio, my friend?
It's about 20 years or so. And I was just thinking about this. Our paths have crossed so many times.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've ever been on the air together, which is it took 30 years to
Yeah,
finally
right.
get us in the same studio.
I know.
At the same time. So yeah, it's great to see you. Thanks for
Good
inviting
to see
me.
you too. Let's see, where did you
String some letters together, and
Okay.
I've worked
Okay,
there.
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so KTRS, KMOX, WIL, WSIE, NPR.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Washington for a few years. So that was an experience. So put the letters together, and I've been there.
I love it. Yeah, and remember, I'll never forget this, and I don't know whether you were involved in it, but it was when I first came back to St. Louis to work for Channel 4, and I think it was 1990. Remember the all news station?
Oh,
was
yeah.
it Cakes Okay or
Cakes
something?
Okay.
Yeah.
6:30, sure.
Yeah. And it didn't last very long.
No, they were not good. They just weren't. And the funny thing is I was at KMOX at the time, so this might have been like the 1980s, like 87, 88. And everybody at KMOX, we were not making much money, and we were all kind of disgruntled. If they just would have made a phone call, they probably could have gotten an entire staff over at All News 630.
Yeah.
And instead, they brought in out-of-towners, and it was not a good experience.
Well, I know. And I think that was the key, the out-of-town part of it. I'll never forget, because this happened, I think it was Channel 2 or one of the news stations, because these guys didn't last long. They literally had the promo for this new day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was KTVI. The promo for this new day was the entire news team arriving at the airport. You remember that?
Yes.
Stu Kleitenic?
Miles Musio, Stu Kleitenic, Susan Kidd, maybe?
Oh, I don't know whether it's Susan. No, because she was with Larry over there.
Well, Larry's floating around.
Yeah.
We could ask him, sure.
But it was, but I'm getting to something here because St. Louis didn't like that. Like they didn't. Why would you promote the fact that you're parachuting a bunch of people in who aren't from here to give you your news? I'm not saying there haven't been people who aren't from here who have done a good job. I'm just saying that was like, you don't want to really draw attention to them, literally showing them coming out of the airport turnstile to come into the studio.
Yeah.
So anyway, to that point, guys like Jimmy and that radio, they always mispronounce the names of places, street names, and everything else. And so it was always a dead giveaway. And I'm sure Jimmy, Jim, I want to call him Jimmy, but James Buffaro, I'm sure he was very cognizant of that, being from St. Louis and specifically being from South St. Louis. Thus, we have his brand new book. It's called Hampton Avenue Chronicles. It is really very cool. I've thumbed through it, and I'm going to give one copy of it to my mother-in-law because she grew up in South St. Louis. And thank you for signing that for her. But this is all about Jimmy's upbringing in the 60s and 70s. So I'm sure you were interested in listening to the H.R. Puffin stuff stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the parking lot listening, as a matter of fact. So you talk about mispronunciations of names. Okay, so I grew up on a street about 10 houses east of Hampton on a street called Goethe, Goethe. Now, the real pronunciation is after a man named Johann von Goethe, who was a philosopher and a German poet and scientist. But nobody pronounces it. In fact, if you in St. Louis were to say Goethe on the air, they would say, who is this rube? Just stop. So I wanted to name the book something after Goethe, and that, well, nobody's going to know, and they're going to mispronounce it. So I'm literally 10 houses off of Hampton, and Hampton Avenue still is and was for me as a kid the spine of South St. Louis. I mean, I went to high school at Bishop DeBerg. I went, we hung around the arenas all the time.
Yeah.
So just east of Hampton Avenue in Oakland was the arena. There was the Steak and Shake in Wilmore Park, and where we had all of our liquid picnics, so to speak, as teenagers. So, that was. So I named it Hampton Avenue Chronicles, and it's a little bit of my history. But I always tell people, if you're going to buy the book, read the last chapter first, because it's all the things I couldn't squeeze in to the book. All these things about St. Louis and names like Steve Mizraini, and Stan Can, if you remember that name, and a true test. Everybody says, "Where'd you go to high school?" That's the St. Louis line, right? Then the second one is pronounce "wash this corn in the sink so I can eat my corn," and if it comes out "wash this fark in the zinc so I can eat my carn," it's a St. Louisan. But the third one, the real test, is walk into a room when you think you've got St. Louisans and go, "What's the story, Larry?" And if you say, "What's the story, Larry?" and somebody goes, "Expansion, expansion, expansion," you know that they're a St. Louis kid of the 70s, right? Larry Lampert.
No doubt about it. I remember that one. And, of course, Steve Mizraini, what a classic there. And the emos always stood out to me at that little corner right there, Oakland and Hampton, right?
It's still there.
It's still there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
That must be one of the original emos there, but yeah.
I guess so. And emos is so the last chapter that I do in this book is my personal Walk of Fame. I know that there's the Walk of Fame that Joe Edwards did on Delmar, and that's great and everything. But this is my own. And of course, it would be on Hampton Avenue, and there would be many St. Louis stops along the way and curbs because we all had to learn how to parallel park.
Yeah.
And that emos, I couldn't eat emos as a kid because I had braces.
Oh.
And everybody, you don't want to know what Provel cheese stuck inside braces looks like. So I had to wait till I'm an adult. I live in Kansas City now, and we just opened up a new Emos near my home. And believe me, I'm there
Oh,
as
no
often
kidding.
as humanly possible.
I didn't know they were outside of St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Double cheese
I
Emos.
love it.
So, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So I guess you also, when you say Walk of Fame, so there are a bunch of people who are mentioned here who are from that area.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah.
they're more that chapter, the last chapter, again, is what didn't I squeeze in? What are some things that would resonate with St. Louis people who didn't grow up necessarily in South St. Louis? And I mentioned the name Stan Can, and I love people who know who Stan Can is. He, of all things, he collected vintage vacuum cleaners.
Yep.
Now, who does that? Well, Stan Can. There's the answer, okay? His big claim to fame is he was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson 77 times.
Yeah.
And he would go on the air, and the rumor is that they would not let him rehearse. So he'd be out with these old vacuum cleaners, and the handle would fly off or a wheel, and he would say, "Oh, you're not doing it, you're not doing it right, Johnny." All the time. So it was Johnny's fault. So much so that my wife and I were moving a chair the other day, and the back came off, and I said, "Oh, you're not doing it right, Johnny." I blamed it on her. I have the nickname around my house, Stan Can't, because I am such a klutz around the house that there's just no way that they give me anything beyond screwing in a light bulb.
That is the great Jim Buffaro. On the book, it's James Buffaro, and Hampton Avenue Chronicles is the name of the book, and I'm sure available on Amazon and beyond, right, my brother?
Well, it's Amazon.com. We're working on some other stuff. If you go to Amazon.com and just put in my name, which is B as in boy, A, F as in Frank, A-R-O, it pops right up. And there you go. You're a click away.
Yeah, I love it, man. And Stan Can, my mom loves Stan Can, and she'd always tell me, because I'd watch Johnny Carson all the time. Even as just a little kid, and he would go there, and he'd be clumsy. He'd drop this. He's, I'm sorry. Wait. It's just so great.
Yeah.
What a really great.
Well, the other one in the Hall of Fame, if you have time, is we have a great legacy of sportscasters in St. Louis who've gone on nationally. So you've got Costas and Buck and Dan Kelly. I don't think Jay Randolph gets enough credit because Jay would do the Olympics from Sapporo, Japan.
Right.
He was doing NFL football. But the great thing about Jay, he's still around, is his name dropping was legendary. So it would be, of course, I had the great pleasure of working with Chris Schenkel on the PBA bowling tournament broadcast from ABC in 1972. What a wonderful, wonderful fella. And it was filled with that. And we would wait to see those because that's what made Jay so fun.
Yeah. Good old Jay Randolph, Channel 5, you know. And Chris Schenkel, I remember all those names. I don't know why I was even a kid watching bowling to begin with, but there he was. All right, John Wick, I'm going to save a book for you, buddy. I don't think John Wick's your real name, but you go ahead and inbox me. I'll get it signed for you, John, and have it in the mail to you. Do whatever. I'll get it to you. You can come here to pick it up at the station, and I will get that to you. And then and Julie says Jay Randolph Jr. is a cool dude too.
He was a good
guy. Yeah, he passed away, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a really fun guy, apparently, too. So all those names, someday we'll have to come back and talk about all the broadcasting names, because you and I have been around for a long time.
We would probably bore people to death with it, but we'd have a good time, and of course, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, it was so funny, because even when I was a kid, I was a news junkie, so I knew all the news people. Can we go to 58? Is it good? Okay, news people, and so I'll never forget one time when I first got to Channel 4, real quick story. I'm with Jim Bolin, and he's on the phone with Max Roby because Max Roby had retired to Arizona, Chandler, Arizona. And I asked Jim, and this is when I was like 26 years old, because I got to Channel 4 when I was 26, 1989. And I was like, hey, Jim, can I talk to Max Roby? Because I watched him when I was a kid all the time. I loved Max Roby. And so I get on the phone with him. I go, hey, hi, my name's Jamie Allman. I used to watch you all the time as a kid. Can't believe I'm standing in the same newsroom where you did all your stuff that I watched. And he goes, well, thank you, Jamie. I really appreciate it. I'm like, okay, here's the phone back to you. I just wanted to say hi,
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, that's the kind of, but the St. Louis love and your love of this town is absolutely felt in Hampton Avenue Chronicles. James Buffaro, I'm so glad you came in, and thank you very much for years of your professionalism as a news guy. That's one thing James Buffaro, or Jim Buffaro as you know him.
And I'm blowing it all to hell with this.
Well, it's great, and I certainly appreciate you being here, brother, and thanks for the memories, not only in your broadcasting world, but in this beautiful book, Hampton Avenue Chronicles. James Buffaro, Bafaro, is where you're going to that's what you're going to use as your guide on Amazon. Jimmy, thanks so much. You guys have a great rest of your day. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Tony Colombo and Company, straight ahead here on News Talk STL.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at newstalkstl.com.
Brought to you by Hero.